Turn your mic on.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay. You want, would you look at mine, check it?
Never know about that.
You want it, I'd rather that.
Breathe. And why does it matter?
Don't elect me. I could-
Telling you, telling you.
Check Tuesday. Turn it.
It's like church. Nobody sits on the front row.
You got sunshine. Is it on?
Huh? Well, he said 6:45, but our letters said 7 o'clock. Did you test it? Kat, did you test it? Good, because I had it messed up. I know it.
Hey. Well, that's why they're on. Oh, yours is not. Yeah. Let me get him to get us some water. You have a water. Want a bottle of?
That will never hear
Yeah,
you.
you-
Let me break it.
Have my birthday.
Hey, Bill. Go. Can you get me a bottle? It's the only other one she might want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm challenged. Hearing aids.
Right. I'll make it so. Oh.
And Barry wanted the fans on. I went home and took me a nap.
I wanted to.
Good going.
Didn't end up happening.
About an hour and a half. You know.
Everybody pull out a card if they would like the app.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, they're right there.
That's why it's programmable. You figured them.
And you'll know it was yours.
Up 2 years. So. I like it. I like touch. Idea.
Oh, yeah, we have a move. And popcorn.
It's right up here on the stove. There's 6 of us.
The Zoom is working, maybe.
Yeah, it probably is because. Not this quiet at the meetings.
That's why I don't go.
I don't think you have to, but none of them did, but you know, she wanted, I think. it was one for her.
Betsy, Betsy, did you get my
Questions
question?
anyways laying out over there.
Didn't sign it. Too many. So I don't know which one it is.
I didn't know I had to sign it.
I don't think you have to know. He did except for one person, because her mother and her both had a question, but she wanted to make sure that we didn't think she was putting two questions.
Oh,
Well, they can ask multiple questions. They can ask many of them, what? Can we have-
Wayne stood here and said one.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I should have had a kid like him. My yard looked good, my life.
Last long.
Oh, we can.
So,
Or you should gotta wait till 7 o'clock.
no,
Well, we got 7 o'clock.
I thought I'm that. I think I forgot. That's cool, but I've been listening to all the. The good way is, the good way is. Because you relax. So now I watch the movie, get excited. First and more side. Yeah.
What are you saying?
I don't, oh, no.
Well, that's good. I said, the only reason why they.
Got it perfect.
No. It's really good. It's also good amount. Yeah. It's pretty intelligent.
Perfect.
He's checking right now.
I'm glad you say that. It really wasn't me.
Is mine on? Mine isn't on, right? You turn them on. There. Oh.
It was on the heat then when I turned it down.
We've had that happen before where, especially in the large hall, where one group is turning a couple sets of air conditioners to the Arctic, and the other group turning the other one to heat.
I just didn't want you to smell me sweating up here, you know, being nervous. Get over toward Rod. I was gonna cool her down.
Judy's looking at me. She don't recognize.
Hmm?
What's me?
Pretty good job. He's actually pretty good. They were like, within buttons or something.
See, you messed it up.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous, the light doesn't work. Like that.
Okay, it looks like it's 7 o'clock to me. I want to welcome everybody to the November 21st candidates night. We have 6 volunteers that are going to fight talking with us.
Probably should.
Want to welcome everybody to the November 21st candidates night. We have 6 volunteers that want to run for the Board of Trustees. We have 5 positions that are open. My moderator tonight is Charlie Rizzo. I just forgot. Betsy is she's managing all the questions for combining those or whatever we have to do with those. And Kathy O'Brien is the timekeeper. I'm hoping that everybody has filled out their cards for their questions so we can get this started right on time. And what I'd like to do, Charlie, is have each one of the candidates go ahead and introduce themselves, and I'm sure you've got that under control.
Yep. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and again, welcome to Trailer Estates Candidates Night. I'd like to remind everybody, please shut your cell phones off or put the volumes down. And if you need to have a conversation with your neighbor, that's fine. Please bring it out into the hallway outside. These people right here, it's their night to shine. It's their night, folks. My name is Charlie Rizzo. I stay at 6512 Connecticut. Kathy O'Brien is our timekeeper tonight, and Betsy Rizzo is our secretary. A few ground rules. The candidates each will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves. The timer will ring. Actually, it shows a yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and it will show a red one at 3. It will ring at the 3 minutes, indicating that the speaker's time is over, and we will continue on with the next candidate. After the introductions, we will ask the questions that we have up here that are written. Again, if you have a question, please feel free to bring them up. And each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. At 1.5 minutes, the yellow light should go on. At 2, it will be the red light. At the end of our questions, each candidate will have a 2-minute summary. Go over why you feel you should be a board member, a summary, add up your night, and we'll go from after the questions have been asked, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a summary. Anybody needing any pencils or pens again for the questions? I have a copy of PP4, which is the procedures that I did in a nutshell. It's available up here for anybody to read. And that's basically what I just went over in a shorter version. So with that, we're going to start. When we ask the questions, we'll start with number 1, Rod Smith. The second question will go to the second candidate, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and on down the line. So, Rod, You have 3 minutes to introduce yourself.
Okay, welcome everybody to the candidates night tonight. Appreciate you all being here to hear our spiels. On the ballot, my name is Rodney J. Smith, but I prefer to go by Rod. My wife and I have been coming to Trailer Estates since 2008, and we came until she passed away in early 2019. And of course, I did not make it the 2018-2019 year. But then I came back in the end of 2019, had a nice rental, it went up for sale, so I bought it, and I've decided to become a permanent resident here at Trailer Estates. Big reason is my son lives in Ellington, and my daughter and her kids and grandkids and great grandkids live in Jacksonville. I served in the Army during the Vietnam crisis as an accounting specialist. I have a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and a Master of Business Administration. I retired from Marathon Oil Company December 31st, 1999 as an advanced senior systems analyst. During my career at Marathon, I worked as an accountant the first few years, and then I got into systems troubleshooting, and then eventually into systems analysis and project leader. I led many systems design projects for major mainframe systems. My last job at Marathon was Y2K project manager. What that entailed was that I was responsible to see that all of the computer science groups within Marathon Oil Company countrywide were up to snuff and knew what they were doing and had everything corrected. And I'm proud to say that we had no issues whatsoever. I've been a Kiwanian for 45 years and have served in many leadership positions there. I also am an Eagle Scout, and I've been involved in scouting in different things for 50 plus years. When I retired, I decided I need the interaction with the kids, so I became a substitute teacher for 13 years. Had a good time with that. I had some background as a scoutmaster and working with young men to solve that. My hobbies are woodworking and reading. Thank you.
All right, very good.
Okay.
All right. Ready, Kathy? Mary?
Mary Chandler. I have served on the board. This is my 6th year as your treasurer. Previous to that, when I worked for one company only for 40 years. I worked for a disability insurance company for my entire career, held several jobs within that company, but all of them finance in nature. The last job I had before I retired was the director of medical operations in their benefits department. And I was in charge of all the doctors and the employed doctors and the contracted doctors that reviewed medical claims for this disability carrier, making sure that their CMEs were up to date, their board certifications were up to date. Just kind of making sure they had the tools they need to be as efficient as they could be. And also had the budget, which was about a $5 million budget for that purpose. Came here after I retired and tried to get involved. I was the president of the Sharecraft Club here for a couple of years. Went to a couple of board meetings and went back to a good friend of mine and said, I don't know what to do. I just feel like I need to do something. Either I have to just not go to any more board meetings or I need to get on the board. So at that point, there was an opening. And so I applied for that and I was appointed for that term. And then I've read, this is my third term. So I did a lot in the last couple of years. There's a lot of unfinished business that needs to kind of get figured out here over the next year. And I'd like to be here to see that kind of work its way through, especially with the loan and everything, before I'm ready to step aside. And handing it off to somebody is going to be hard for me to do, but I know I need to do it eventually. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mary. Russell?
I'm Russell McAllister. I live in 6614 California. I didn't bring my resume. But after college, I'm from Texas, and after college, I went into the oil field and worked with different apparatuses in the oil field and ran crews. And then after that, I started working in aviation, which that's what my family is all in aviation. So I got my license, my A&P license, got married and got fat, but and then started working in my own business, my own contracting business, and had three stores after that. Basically went into flooring and different types with construction and building and whatnot. As far as that, I've had a contracting company where I drove air freight for years and owned my own trucks and had my own contracts with Eli Lilly and stuff. It's not about what I've done in the past, because we all know I'm 65 years old. There's a lot of things I've done. It's what we accomplished sitting here on the board for the park. So my history, just because I've done all that, doesn't mean I actually know everything. When you start working for the government, it's a complete different story, different rules, different outlay, everything. So it's quite a surprise to come up here and sit on the board. And this is my second term, if elected. And my first term, it took me about a year to really start figuring out what was going on. So I started figuring out what was going on with the board. And then I started applying the knowledge that I had from my past to run things and correct problems and come up with solutions to apply that to the board itself. It's worked pretty good. There's been some tough times and some long days. The board's not a short, quick session. It takes quite a while. So 2 years is a short period to learn what's going on in this park. But I enjoy it, and that's why I re-upped, I guess. Dwayne and Mike Sansone are the ones who talked me into joining the first time, and I thank them, I guess.
Uh-huh. All right. Dottie?
Good evening. My name is Dottie Deerwester, and I live at 1804 Ohio Avenue. I'm married to Gordon Elton. We bought in the park in 2015 and became full-time residents in 2018. I am a military veteran. I have served 21 and a half years in the United States Air Force, and I'm also an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. Since other people gave their educational background, I guess I'll do mine too. I have a bachelor's in social psychology. I have a master's in educational psychology, and I have a PhD in business administration with an emphasis in healthcare. In my work history, most of it has been in nonprofit. So I understand the budgets with limitations with nonprofits. And most of my career is working with domestic violence, sexual assault, and mental health issues. And I was administrator of 4 different battered women's shelters. So I understand the 24-hour type of work as well. I'm involved in the park in a variety of clubs, more active in some than others. Many of you may know me with the computer club. I'm the president of the computer club. I'm one of the people that go out and do tech assistance with your TV and your phone and your printers. Lately it's printers. And I really enjoy that because every time I go out, I learn something new. I'm also involved in the yacht club, the social club, and the travel club, the hand and foot club. We have a lot of fun on Thursdays and Fridays. Come on out and learn to play. And the travel club. I'm honored to be able to lend my expertise and skills to the park. We have a wonderful park. We have a lot of activities, a lot of challenges, and I think over the years coming up, probably a lot of changes because our population is changing. And it's an honor for me to stand before you as a candidate, for a trustee, and to lend my skills and experience to the park and to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. Dottie. Sandy?
Good evening. My name is Sandra Simonich. Excuse me. I live at 6816 Massachusetts Street, behind the firehouse. my backyard in the firehouse or share backyards. I have 34 years experience as a teacher. I have a BS in administration and an MA in education administration. Been here since 2008. We came first as a renter of 3 weeks, and my husband was a fisherman, and he saw this marina and he said, I don't care what you buy, but we're going to stay here because of this marina. He said, I can't believe it. And so he's enjoyed that for many years. I love people. I love to work for people. I love to do things. Give me a job and I will get it done. I am a person of few words. I don't say a lot. And I know at board meetings and stuff, people say, you're awful quiet. Why don't you say something? I thought, well, if I had something to say, I would, but usually they take care of it and I just follow through on the action of what needs to be done. I enjoy the park. We've had a great time in the park. We would have become full-time residents, but my daughter had a decision that was getting older and I need to be up in Wisconsin where she is. So we have to do 6 months in Wisconsin and 6 months here, but we are Florida residents. I'm very active in the park. I am in many, many clubs and activities. Again, as a helper, I'll help in any way that I can. That's why I would like to be on the board, because things that need to be done, I would like to help them and see that they get done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Todd?
All right, Todd Lombardi. I live at 6617 California. We've been in the park for about 8 years now. We've owned in the park for about 8 years. And 3 years ago, I retired early from CTS Corporation and came down here, and we really haven't gone home. We've just loved it so much that we just haven't been going home. So this is really our home now. And like I said, I retired early from CTS Corporation. My background there was tool and die and management. I managed the tool room there. I was their guy that they sent all over the world to repair and fix all their machines. So if you guys drive a car, chances are my hands have touched some parts on that at some point. About 6 months ago, I guess, I was appointed to the board and given the maintenance position. That's been my background all my life, so it comes pretty natural to me. And I'm lucky in that aspect that I've got a crew that is top notch and does a great job keeping this park running. Very appreciative of that. And on that, the seawall part of it is been a big part of my job here at this park and keeping that running good. And those are all right along my line of expertise and what I've always done. And I'm glad to be able to do it at this point. And it's one thing I've always said is the residents of this park all have specialties and expertises that they've done. And this is my time to give to the park and do that. And hopefully, later on, other people will step up and do the same thing. That's it. I'm man of little words, I guess. All right, thank you.
All right, very good. Kathy, we set for 2. All right, we'll start in with the questions. Mary, you'll be first.
Oh,
And I want to remind you, these are 2-minute answers. When it comes to a vote, can you answer to what the grader of the park would want or your own opinion?
Oh, it will always be the grader of the park.
Okay,
Always. I don't need 2 minutes to answer that question. It's easy.
all right. Russell?
The best thing about the park is it's unique and it takes a decision for the park to do anything. If you're not going to do what the park is benefiting the park, then you're in the wrong place sitting up here. And after being here full time, I've realized it takes a full-time job to be able to operate this park. It doesn't just fly by the seat of its pants. So, yeah, it would be for the park, no way, any
Okay.
other way.
All right. Dottie, and if anybody would like me to repeat the question, I'm more than glad to do that.
I believe that trustees are here to serve the residents of the park. And decisions that are made should be made in the best, with the intent of the best interest of all the park. The challenge with that is that you may not hear from some people and you may hear a lot from others. And the challenge is to try to mitigate that and figure out where that balance is without my own personal, well, I would have my opinion, of course, because I'm an owner here as well. But it's not about me, it's about the residents in general. And the challenge is really knowing what all that is and not just hear from those who have a louder voice or are more rambunctious or outspoken or whatever term you want to use, but also try to talk to those who are more quiet and not as outgoing and learn what they want as well.
Very good. Sandy,
My opinion is also the residents of the park, and I agree, you need to get the feel of the park. You need to get the feel of the residents of what they really want. And not just certain groups, need to visit all of the different types of groups and divisions that in the park so that you can get the feel of the park.
okay. Todd,
Too often, people tend to yell real loud about things and some people want to take and listen to just that. And as a board member, you can't do that. You have to listen to the whole park and go for the betterment of the park. Maybe not the most popular answer always, but you have to look at the betterment of the park.
okay. Rod,
Okay, I'm definitely for the betterment of the park. And you people out here in the audience can help me if I'm elected along that way. I'm always open to your communication to let me know what you think we're doing, if we need to do it different. And with my background in systems design and analysis, I've done a lot of work of analyzing different items that would help me make that decision. So it's not only us making a decision for ourselves, it's us making a decision for you, but you have to help us out.
all right, very good. All right, we're gonna start the third question. Russell was gonna start with you. In the past, board meetings haven't been able to meet due to the board members not being here all summer. Other than vacations and times off, do you plan on being here year round?
It's bad to compare the things to the past because the times are changing. I'm here year round and I'm here probably 20 or 30 hours a week in this office, working for this park right now at this time. And I don't see that changing in the future. And I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. But you really can't figure, this park was made for people to come here and vacation. So they weren't always here, but it's changing, like Dottie said. And it's easier to have somebody who's full-time, not just so we can have a quorum, but so we can take care of the individual jobs that are here in the park. Each board member has a specific job that's detailed in what you do. And some jobs can leave and take care of their business, and then other jobs have to be here. So I'm here year round, and whatever job I'm elected to do, that's the job, whether I was here or not, I'll still be here to do it.
All right. Dottie,
As much as we dislike the COVID time, I think the COVID time helped us by using technology. With the computer club, I'm all into technology and learning new things, and I find that fun. And I realize that's not the same for everybody. But the one thing that COVID allowed us to do was for our board meetings to be on Zoom. And when people tell me, oh, I can't attend the board meetings, I talk to them about Zoom. And if you don't know how to use Zoom, we can teach you how to use Zoom through the computer club. And so we can use technology to be in attendance to a meeting. I've already looked at my schedule for next year, and I would say 95% of my time away does not conflict with the board meetings, which are important. And those that would, I would expect to be on Zoom to attend and participate. At the same time, whichever job I am assigned, I would be doing that as much as I could during my time here. And if there's capability to use technology to do that task as well, then I would use that. I think we need to combine technology with the old-fashioned ways, if you want to call it that, to try to accommodate for everybody. But I would expect to attend 99% of the meetings and be full-time that I am.
Sandy,
We are Florida residents, so I will be here 6 months for sure, full time. Other than that, I am in Wisconsin, but I am on Zoom. I love Zoom. It's a break in my time there in Wisconsin to break away from the other and be connected once more again with the park. And I have really enjoyed doing the Zoom ones, and with this technology, like you said, it's just really, really helped us a lot.
Todd,
As I said in my intro, I mean, we haven't gone home for about 3 years now. Where, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna go home, but I'll be here more than I'm gonna be home for sure. We just love it here.
all right. Rod,
Okay, yes, I'm a permanent resident, and I've been the last couple of years, I've only taken a couple of weeks to go back to Ohio. And I believe that it's important to be here. Now, this last summer was a very trying time for the board with everything that they went through with the seawall and Mary with her financing and she was still able, even though she wasn't here, she was still able to do it from her home in Maine. But I believe it is important and that we need to be here as much as we can. Hopefully this summer isn't like last summer. So, yes, I will be here.
all right, Mary.
Technology is wonderful. Unfortunately, the state of Florida hasn't quite got there yet. We are still required to have 5 board members physically in this room before we can have a board meeting. So we're always going to be challenged with making sure we've got enough full-time residents who are not gone during the summer months so that we can have a quorum and then others can participate via Zoom. So maybe we can get Florida up to the times here. I don't know. I'm always engaged whether I'm here or not. I'm committed to, I normally don't come back until October, but the loan was very important. So I came back in September, which was, I had no problem doing. And if I needed to come back, I came back in July for a couple of weeks because of something going on. So, I made a commitment that I was going to be here for the term. I will make the commitment to do what's necessary. And if I have to come here for a couple of weeks in the summer or come back early, I mean, I'll make that commitment. Absolutely. And I'm always participating on Zoom anyway.
All right, very good. All right, Dottie, your turn. Would you be supportive of adding credit card services for payments, including the ability for online payments also?
Yes, because that's where we are these days, and that's what the future is. I know there's a cost of doing business associated with that. Other places have had minimums. For example, you can't run a credit card unless you have a $5. Now, the American Legion post I go to, you have to have a $5 or more bill before you can use a credit card because it doesn't make sense otherwise. It doesn't make sense to me now that we don't use credit cards. I've never written more checks than I've ever written than in Florida. And credit cards will make it easier. I'm supportive of an online credit card processing as well. It's not that difficult to set up once you've set up the system for the in-office one, and it would allow people to pay their dues, to pay their fees of whatever they need to pay without physically being in the office. at Trailer Estates or having to mail something. So yes, definitely I'm in favor of it.
Okay, all right. Sandy, how do you feel about it?
Yes, I would be in favor of it. It's the sign of the times. We have to move forward with it, and it would make it so much easier for things to happen and people to be able to pay things, get things done.
Okay. Todd?
Agree with it 100%. I've already asked that question several times to the offices of why we don't do that. Mary knows this too, so. Yeah, I'm all for it. Get her done.
This isn't your question, is it?
No, not my-
Rod?
Yes, I'm definitely in favor of it too. The easier we can make it for our residents to pay their bills. I mean, even with what we pay a lot of things, I mean, I don't write any checks anymore. Everything is online banking. And so we got to get with the site. Now, I understand there are some people that don't even have a computer in the park. So it would be a challenge for them to do that. But even if we could take a credit card at the office would be a help.
Mary?
I'm dying to know who put that question. I'm meeting with Regions Bank next week to move credit card processing into the office.
All right.
Okay, it's been something I've wanted to do now since I've been in this job. It's just finding enough time to make it happen. Online bill pay is going to be a little bit more tricky for us, okay? Not that I don't want to do it, not that I'm not going to try to do it. But we have that little thing called public records request that we have to respond to. So if we have a database with people's email addresses and all that stuff, it gets pretty tricky when we get a public records request that wants to know all the people in the park that are using bill pay and what their names and email addresses are. We've got to give it. And we have people in this park who will ask just those kinds of questions. So before I can put that into place, I need to make sure that that information is protected. And I need to find out what information I can protect and what information I have to disclose on a public records request. So I definitely want it, but that one's got a little bit of a different twist that you need to take into consideration.
Okay, Russell?
I don't think we're going to vote on this, are we?
Not yet.
Mhm. I believe we do need to step it up, but like Mary said, everything here is public knowledge. So if someone wants to find something out about you, other than your driver's license, it can be sought after. So if we do something like that, which will bring us into time, and we have good security on it, then we'll do that. But just keep in mind that the easier things are made to do things, the easier it is for somebody to hack into it or to take it or to want to come get it. So yes, it's fine with me. I'm an Amazon king. I can order every day sometimes. And it just goes right out the window. But yes, I agree. We do need to start working on it if we can secure it.
All right. Sandy?
Make it easy.
They're not my questions. I'm just a mailman. That's all I am. Why is a volunteer board of directors important or valuable? Why do you feel being a board member is valuable or important?
Well, I feel that if we have good ideas for the park, to bring the park forward, and take up your time.
It does do that.
Gives you something to do all the time. Extra responsibilities. I think you feel more directly part of the park, and you want to get the problems settled and be an active part of it.
Okay. Todd?
Part of my reason for wanting to get on the board was, I've always liked this park but I've always also felt that it's been a little bit behind the times. And, just like updating this room, I mean, when they did this here, I mean, it was great. So yes, having one is very important, and being a volunteer means people do it for the right reason. Okay. We all got paid. Then, who you gonna get? You don't know. So it's very important that it's a volunteer and people are doing it because of out of their heart to make the park better. I mean, that's the real key. And that's what makes this board, so good and so valuable to the park.
Rod?
Yeah, I think a volunteer is the best way to go because they don't owe the loyalties to themselves. They owe the loyalties to the park residents. If we were paid, guess what happens to your assessments? They don't get cheaper if we're paid. Now, I'm sure they wouldn't pay us for the effort that we made, for all the hours that everybody on the board is putting in. But myself, I have plenty of time that I can do what I need to do as a volunteer. And I've always been a volunteer. I have a history of volunteerism. So I'm all for the volunteer aspect.
Okay, Mary?
Oh, boy. If my husband would tell you it so I can talk to everybody all the time. Because no matter where I am, I want to talk to you. I want to hear what you've got to say. When people say, have you ever thought of this? I get right into it. It's my home. I'm going to be here for a very long time, I hope. I want it to be the very best place it can be. And I was a workaholic my whole life. I didn't know how I was going to survive retirement, to be perfectly honest. I didn't know what I'd do with my time. Don't have to worry about that now. And, my kids don't understand why I do what I do and I spend the amount of time I do. And I said, I just hope at some point in time in your life, you will volunteer to do, I don't care what it is, just do a volunteer work somewhere because it's just self-rewarding. And so I just enjoy it very much.
Okay.
Could you repeat that
Can I,
last
can I
part?
kind of,
Yeah, the last part. I want to hear that. That you enjoy it very
I
much.
do enjoy it.
All right, your turn, Russell.
I believe that when you do something like volunteering for the park, it gives you a more appreciation of the park. It makes you feel more with the people that live in this 128.5 acres. It makes you actually like you can do something because the people ask you to do something. So you can make yourself better every time you do something. Without the trustees of the park, their every day-to-day function and working as much as we do, I should say we most, it's nice. It makes you feel good. The people make you feel good. So if you can make people feel good and make an establishment operate and run and keep looking towards the future, then what better way is there in life to do it? I am retired. I was told not to get a job by my wife. So, so I got a volunteer job. It's just, it's a shame, I guess. But yeah, no, being here full time and everything, seeing what goes on in the park makes me really want to be here. This park's unique.
Okay. Dottie?
Would you read the question?
Yes, I will. The question was, why is a volunteer board of directors important or valuable?
Okay, because I understood the question differently than I'm hearing the answers. The question, my thought on the question is not about why I'm volunteering, but why is the Board of Trustees important or valuable to the park? That's how I understood that question.
Okay.
And the board, the trustees is a board that is representative of the whole park. Can you imagine what it would be like to try to figure out all the things the trustees do with 100 people in the room talking and trying to make decisions? Wouldn't work very well. And so as a representative of the whole, then the work, the responsibility, the accountability is to ourselves, but also to every single person who is an owner in this park and the tenants who live here as well. And also to our county and is in our own way. So some boards are paid a stipend. Some boards are volunteers. Majority, I think, are volunteer. And the time that we serve is on behalf of you. We are just one piece of all of you. And that's why I think the board is important, and that's why I think it's valuable, because we represent you.
All right. Todd. When it comes to a vote, are you able to say no if you disagree to what the vote is about?
No problem. Yeah, I can foresee that. The one thing about this board is we've been able to talk things through. I mean, the current board is sitting here now. And I think that's one of the most important things, is being able to talk things through and agree to disagree on something. But yeah, my vote will be no if I'm against it.
Okay. Rod?
Yes, I would not have a problem in saying no. I think with what the board does with their workshop is where the biggest discussion is happening, and where they're really making the decisions in there. They're getting everything ironed out so that everybody agrees to it. And if they don't agree to it, they're smart enough to bring it back at another meeting after they do more research. So I would have no problems, especially in the workshop, saying no. And at least if I say no, I'm going to tell you why no and what I think my opinion is, although I have to be careful sometimes.
Mary?
Absolutely no problem saying no. I mean, if you've watched some of the board meetings, we look like we're totally dysfunctional, but basically the way we are is the way you should want us to be. Everybody should be very vocal. Everybody should be talking about their opinions. We should be arguing about them, not really badly, but I mean, just making sure they're heard. And no matter how long it takes, coming to a point where we all agree and we all feel comfortable about the decisions we make. It's hard to sit through. It's hard to watch. But at the end of the day, we all feel like whatever decision's being moved forward, we are in support of. And, or Todd says, we agree to disagree, and we're okay with it. So yeah, I've done my fair share of that at these meetings for sure.
Russell?
2 times out of the month, I go home, take a nap every Monday. And it's interesting that I always sit in the board meeting and I'm very opinionated, and I don't mind saying no, because there's 9 people up here and we're all going to have different opinions. So somebody's going to have to say no eventually about everything. But since we can't talk any other time in a workshop, so it's kind of like we might be dysfunctional, but we all have an ideal of what everybody is talking about and what parts we need to be interested in to get things moving. So no is not really a hard answer. It's you determining whether that no is for the park or if that no is for everybody. That's where you got to put your mind to work to see if you can actually, if that fits the park. A no answer for the park's not a problem, but fitting what it needs, what the park needs, is where you have to make that decision, that answer.
Okay. Dottie?
No, I don't have a problem saying no. I think that when you're part of a decision-making group, it can be a very uncomfortable thing to do. And you also have to make sure you're not making a decision, yay or nay, based on my personal opinion. Although I may agree with what's going on, if I've heard a lot from the park on something different, then I need to be able to speak to that. And I believe that I'm able to do that. I think sometimes in listening to and you have some long meetings on workshops. Today was one of them. I think that it does feel sometimes like no isn't said enough or alternatives aren't brought forward enough. And I know that there's an opinion that, well, if we do things a little differently, it's just going to make the board meetings longer. And that is probably true. However, the job that the trustees have is to hear and talk about the important decisions. And that's not a comfortable place to be. And sometimes if I say no, I'm a trustee and I say no, I may be the only one of 9 people to say no. And that's not going to be a fun place to be, but that may need to be done. You may be the only no vote. So things like that. A comment was made that the workshop outcome is a vote. The workshops don't make a vote. They do the recommendations to the board meeting for a vote. And they do a very good job. And I don't think it's dysfunctional at all.
All right. Sandy,
I do have a problem saying no. It's not easy for me to say no. And so I have to be explained to. I have to know exactly why things are going the way that they are going. And if I have to say no, why do I have to say no? And I'll have to have that explanation, and it may take a little longer, but usually it'll come out okay.
okay. All right, Rod, we're back to you. Name one cost-saving action or measure you would bring to the board in order to reduce the cost for the district.
Oh, boy. That's
I'm glad you're all answering these questions and not me.
I think the one thing that we can do to get the cost reduction in is we've got to plan. If we don't have a plan put together, no matter what it is, if it's a long-term, we need a long-term plan and a short-term plan. And we need to follow up on those. And I think that's the only way, if we do some efficient planning, that we're going to reduce the costs to the owners. I don't see anything real specific at this time. Although if I'm elected, I might see more by the interactions that I have, and I know the things that are coming up, having sitting in the board meetings. But I think the key is plan.
Okay, Mary?
What I do every single day. I try to find ways. I mean, today, if you sat through the board meeting today, there was, all right, I'm starting to get cold here, people. All right.
Good.
All right. So I want to look at the way we're using our energy. I want to look at solar energy. See if there's anything that can be done here to tap into solar energy. We live in Florida, for God's sakes. There's got to be some way we can tap into solar energy. Met with a gentleman from Spectrum today who wants to talk to us about some different telecommunication changes he can make for us. He can do some things with our phone system in the office. I've got to figure out what that will mean for us. It's what I do every day because I'm into the numbers every day. So it's near and dear to me for sure.
Okay. Russell?
That answer changes quite a bit because really those workshops that we have and everything and all the suggestions that are brought about, that's the only time that all of us, other than the treasurer, who's always in the numbers, we all have to be getting together to talk about it and find out. There's a lot of ways to save in the park. The planning does good, although things do change pretty quick in the park. You can plan a lot. It's mainly, we don't have a lot to work with. It's just our structures and the field of the park. So we've got to figure out ways to work with what we have, like Mary said, with the solar and everything. But those kind of plans cost money. So it has to be whether you want to spend money to save money. And that might not be today, that could be for the future. So nineteen fifty-five, when all this park started, they weren't worried about their energy cost and things like that. So things were created that we have to make better, just like Mary was talking about the phone systems. Little things, little changes, turning the lights off, letting the place set and die down for a while, turning the ACs down, monitor them. All the little things is what makes up for a long-term plan.
Okay. Dottie.
I don't like this question. This is a tough one. I think that as time, and even the things we've talked about tonight, one cost we may have today may go away, but be replaced by another in the future. So I don't know that there's a pat answer for cost savings in general, but I think you do need to pay money to save money. I really like the solar concept, and I think we could do more. We are in Florida. We could do, except this time of year, maybe, can do more with solar and do some cost savings that way, but it's going to be expensive to put it in. And so that's an example of paying money now and getting the revenue or the recouping it later on. I think there are some things that are happening in the park that we used to use trained, talented volunteers for, but now we're paying a company to do. And I don't understand that. And I'm going to use 732 as an example. 732 had a very active volunteer group that handled 732. Now we pay somebody else to do it, and we have people in the park who can do it and who want to do it and don't understand why we're not being asked to use our skills. And in a park this size, we have a very deep level of skills of people that may step up and do things that don't have to pay for. So that is one example of maybe to save. I don't know the ins and outs of all of that, but that's one example.
Okay. Very good. Sandy.
Now, I think volunteerism is a great thing to help cut costs, but it's a very hard thing to do. A lot of people don't want to volunteer anymore. We used to have a lot more volunteers than we do now, but it's just like a family. When you're in our own families, we are constantly looking for ways to cut the cost. When you go to the grocery store now, you almost have to have a loan to go to the grocery store.
Mhm.
And so we're, as a board, are constantly looking for ways to cut costs and things to do better. And like Mary has said, she's looking for everything and every aspect that you can think of in order for us to cut the costs. And that's just what we have to keep on doing, searching for such.
All right, Todd.
As a board member, that's one of your main functions is to, keep costs under control. I brought several issues in my 6 months I've been here on, that have been cost savings. Bringing a weekend maintenance guy on to help with setups. So I'm always cost conscious and, continue to look for ways to better our spending.
Okay. All right. This is the question you've all been looking for. This is the last one.
The last
Oh,
one. And I get to go.
that's it?
And well, Mary,
And I get to go.
yes, and you get to go, Mary. Are you supportive of changing office hours to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday until 7 p.m. on Friday and adding Saturday hours? Are you supportive of changing office hours till 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, till 7 p.m. on Friday and adding Saturday hours?
I am supportive of more flexible office hours, not exactly those. So I think having a late night on Friday, maybe till 5 on Friday, maybe a few hours on the Saturday morning, I think if we could make that work, it probably would be great. I don't know about the hours that were suggested, but I do think we need to be a little bit more available on some additional hours. I do believe that.
Okay. Russell?
I tell you what, when we get an office manager or park manager, somebody that can control those hours and everything, and he decides that that's gonna be beneficial, he or she,
Thank you.
then, we can work with that. But at this time, the manpower and everything's not what you think it is. There's very few maintenance people here. There's 2 office people. So, and then you have 9 trustees that are in and out of the door all day long. And we're not getting paid, so I'm not gonna volunteer to be here on the weekend. So if we could structure something different, yes, it'd be great. The hours that were suggested, it's a little hard to work with that unless we had 4 or 5 people in the office. So you think about if you want to spend more money to pay more people to work, then I'm sure that can be accommodated. But at this time, with what we have, it's not going to work. We'll have to wait until somebody here is going to manage this park and have more people in the office to work.
Okay. Dottie,
Well, I am in favor of adjusting the office hours. I'm not speaking of maintenance, but the office hours, because it doesn't make sense to me that we close at 3 o'clock. Standard business hours are till 5 in most businesses. And as we move on with younger people moving in the park, I'm not sure which category I'm on, the younger end of it, but a lot of them are still working. And so if they can't come in on an evening hour, they can't come in and they have to go to work at 8, when are they going to come in? You close at 3, which is just an odd time to me. And there's no Saturday hours, there's no evening hours. So when do they get to do what they're supposed to do as a resident of this park? And I think that the staffing of the office, I know that it costs money. Maybe we need another half-time person, I don't know. But I think the staffing of the office hours should be conducive to the needs of the park. And that's a management function. And I know that there's pros and cons of looking at that. We have issues about people checking in on the weekends. We have no hours on Saturday for anyone to pick up a form, to fill out something, to turn something in, things like that. And other communities like ours, not necessarily a district, but like ours, they have office hours, so people who are traveling through can check in, do the paperwork, do what they need to do. And so I don't know why we don't have that, other than I know it's a cost and a staffing issue, but I am supportive of taking a look at that and having more flexibility.
okay. Sandy,
I am supportive of more flexibility in the hours to meet the needs of the people that are here. 3 o'clock is not enough, in my opinion, because like with the younger ones coming in, they are working. We do have a lot of people in the park that are working, and we need something on Saturday and something in the evening. Somehow or another, we need to.
okay. Todd,
Once again, I've asked that question myself. That's one thing that I say definitely needs to change is the office hours. As to what to, I haven't come to that conclusion yet, so that'll be something that the board will need to discuss and talk, but yes, we definitely need to make more accessible in the office. Hopefully we don't have to hire somebody to do that. We can just adjust, but I don't know. It needs to be looked at very, very closely.
okay. Well, with that, folks.
Hey, Charlie,
I had to goof up once tonight.
I agree with all of them. No, I think it definitely, we need to do that. I have a niece and her husband that live in the park, and they're both working. And they don't get home till after 5 o'clock. So they can't transact any business. They can't do it on Saturday. And working in the wood shop as a steward, I mean, this summer I checked in a lot of younger people. And you look, I went to the Cook's Night Out this summer and look at the number of new people in the park. And you can tell just by looking at them that they aren't old and bald like some of us are, that they're still pretty young. So we need to try and facilitate them because we've got them here because of what we've got in this park. And we need to make things a little easier for them.
Okay. All right. Russell, we're gonna start with you. We have 2 minutes to give us a summary and why we should vote for you.
Gonna stand?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not gonna stand up. I wasn't gonna run again, just because I didn't. It's takes quite a bit of time, and I felt that it was gonna be it would be better to let other people get on the board, and we had 2 new people come up. So, and we needed 5 people. So the ideal was to go ahead, run again. Hopefully some of these younger people that are getting in here that are at the retiring age. This is a 55 and older community. So we are accommodating to the 55 and older, and things do need to change to accommodate the younger group. But I was hoping that maybe some of those younger people would get on with their newer ideals and all that, and I could retire. It's interesting. It's not what you think until you get on the board. Your ideals, your thoughts, and everything, it has to coincide with 9 other people. And it has to coincide with what you want the park to be. So I'm reopening again, so I can continue with what good work has been done and hopefully put new ideals out there and changes that people want to change. Not going to happen overnight. It was 1955 when it started. So it's not going to happen overnight, but that's one of the things I'd like to do, just see it finished out.
Okay. Dottie?
First, I want to thank everybody for taking time this evening to come and listen to us and to bring us your questions. My interest in serving as a trustee is to bring my skills and expertise to you, loan them to you to do better things in the park, do more things in the park, follow through with the things that we're doing, because we do have a lot of good things going on in the park now. And my part of the skills I bring as a trustee is I'm able to listen. I do like to talk. I like to interact with people. I like to get their ideas. But I'm also not afraid to say, well, if you have a concern, come to the meeting and talk to us. Because I don't think it's acceptable to expect us to take someone's comment and bring it to the board on their behalf. They need to come and interact with us as well. And I know that's a challenge. It's a challenge in every single community and board I've ever interacted with. But I'm willing to spend my time and energies working for you on behalf of you, because at the same time, I'm working on behalf of myself. I'm part of the park. And so thank you for listening to us. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate your consideration to vote for me as your trustee.
Okay. Sandy?
I am here to serve you. I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy the connection. I enjoy being a working part of the park. And that's why I'm running again this year.
Todd?
I've only been on for 6 months, and it's been a learning experience, and I got a long way to go. And it's one of those things where the current board all interacts really well. We argue on through things, and when we get out of here, we can all go talk to one another, face to face. And being part of that, I feel is a privilege. So I'm just glad I can help and assist the park.
Okay. Rod?
I'm running for the board, not to champion any special interest or groups, but to serve the park. I think that's very important. I'm going to be here the rest of my life. So I hope that if I get elected, that I can sit on the board and make things better for not only myself, but for you too. I feel that I'm qualified because I've had a lot of experience and have learned a lot about effective communication, and I'm a very effective communicator. And because of my work experience in designing computer systems, I've had a lot of interface with users, user management, computer management, all that, and I've had to do that and doing the budgeting and monitoring of that. I'm also very open-minded, and I like to hear people's thoughts and ideas. If you don't give us the ideas, we may not, between the 9 of us, there's 1,270 of you out there that surely have some ideas that would help us out. So I'd like to hear those. Feel free to stop and see me. You can generally find me sitting on my deck on the corner of North Canal and Washington Street with my kitty cat. And if you're a dog walker, you haven't missed me. And I would appreciate your vote for me to fill a position on the board. I think I will do an outstanding job of serving you. And please, anytime you have a question, don't be afraid to approach me. I'm open to what you have to say. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Mary,
Mary. I almost didn't run for another term as well. After 6 years, I thought it was time for somebody else to have all this fun, but I think that's what it comes down to. I'm still having fun. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. I still feel like I can affect change and help. I have a lot of things that I started in this last year, and I'm not ready to pass them off to anybody else. And I just want to own them for a little bit longer to get them straightened out. I hope I have an opportunity to do it. But it's whatever everybody wants. They think it's time for me to go, then it's time for me to go. My husband would love it.
Mine too.
all right. Well, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the candidates, and from me, good luck to all of you. You did a very nice job, but answered some pretty tough questions. Like I said, I'm glad you had to answer them and not me.
Charlie, before we get out of here, I want to thank the applicants for putting in for the positions. You got ahead of me just a little bit. I will allow questions from the audience, and it'll be just one question for them, even though they've closed their
Okay.
statements. Do I have any questions from the audience of what you've already heard? Hearing none, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight, listening to the candidates, because it's your part. Enjoy your evening. Thank you very much.
Rod, everybody will have your phone number before it's all over. Everybody will have your phone number, believe me.
No.